Next meeting, it's time to call things to order with a roll call of attendance, please.
Ebony Hotel, 4th District.
Brandy Brown, District 3.
Justin McGregor, Secretary, Acting Chair, District 7.
Michelle O'Loughlin, District 5. Marilyn Austin, District 6.
Jacob Kumpon, Council at Large.
All right, thank you. So do we want to start with the minute? Anyone get a chance to go through them? Do we have any motions to accept or make it any?
I will just say I will have to abstain because I was not here last week.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
do we have a second? Second? All in favor? Aye. All right. So time now for our presentations. Trinity, do we have Trinity here? Good evening. Introduce yourself and your hometown.
Yes, my name is Reverend Damon Wilson. I serve as the senior pastor of Trinity AME Zion here in Binghamton. My hometown is actually Atlanta, Georgia, but I do call
Place of residency then?
Yes. Well, I do live here in Binghamton.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Well, I must start by saying the last time I was here presenting before a committee, they had a nice screen so you could have a PowerPoint, and I thought that would be the same case today. So I made a nice PowerPoint, but I see there's no screen.
I
So
apologize for that.
so no, that's fine. That's fine. Just know that you're missing out on a really good presentation.
If you'd like to email us, we will go through that presentation on our
Okay.
time.
All
Thank you.
right. All right. Well, one thing that I would like to do is to go ahead, if it's okay with the committee, to talk about both programs at the same time,
Sure.
to kind of save on time.
Okay.
So Trinity AME Zion is one of the oldest churches in the city of Binghamton. The church itself has been in existence since 1838. We're actually the oldest African-American church in Broome County. And with that comes a long history, both within the community, but also when it comes to property as well. So the reason why I am here today is I'm seeking funding to have some work done to the exterior of the church. So I've been in communication with the city for a couple months now in reference to two properties that sit on either side of the church, and I went before the preservation board, and it was decided that we would hold off on any renovations, demolitions, anything like that until there's an opportunity for funding to be looked into. So we started that process, and I have been in contact with the city, and we have identified several community organizations who are express interests at this point in helping to renovate those properties. So because of those ongoing talks, my proposal has changed a little bit. So instead of the original design of demoing one property and creating a parking lot and renovating the other property, the new proposal is for the church to request funding to have a parking lot, but placed in the back of the properties. That's the first part of the proposal. What that will do is provide parking for the tenants of the newly renovated housing, which will be dedicated to affordable housing, and as well as for the church. The next part is to address the common areas as far as like the walkways, the sidewalks leading up to the church. And the reason why that's a part of the proposal now is because like I stated before, it's an older church. So, and we have older members. The average age of our membership is around 62 and going up from there. So with the age restriction, their access to the building has become quite a hassle. So and then this would make more sense if I had the presentation, but the main entryways that go into the building, you have Oak Street on this side, you have Lydia Street on this side. The church kind of sits right at the corner of the two streets, and you have entryways on both sides. So if you go up both sides to the main entrances, you'll see cracks in the sidewalk, uneven steps, a lot of work that needs to be done in order to make it safe for older parishioners to be able to enter the building safely. The best way for me to put it is that I've heard quite frequently that, church members have stopped coming because of the impediments, getting into the building. And to be honest with you, I'm 35 years old and I find myself tripping here and there. So just imagine for someone that's older in age. So what we would like to propose is that the funding be used in addition to the renovations that the city is partnering us with on the houses, by using it for the parking lot in the rear, but also for the walkways leading up to the church and to the adjoining properties.
So I have a question. I don't know if
Yes.
anyone else had any other questions too. The sidewalks you're discussing, are those parallel or perpendicular to the streets itself? Like this?
Parallel.
Parallel? Okay.
So the sidewalks
The
are
common
parallel
side.
to the street, but then from the street you have the walkway to the actual building.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I do need to jump in. So I did also explain to you, Pastor, I have reached out to HUD for clarification of that. I've not heard back yet. I need to, I talked to them. I talked to our HUD rep in person or on the phone. I need to send her an email, but more detailed plan of what's going on. And just so the board is aware here, we're looking at putting home money into the 2 units that were originally proposed there and there. So that would be a separate source of funding that isn't really go through CDAC at this time. We're not really structured that way. Home money's kind of handled differently in that regard. However, the issue was the parking lot, and I had discussed this with the pastor. That is an eligible expense because it's removing impediments to the disabled. It's removing an access problem. So this kind of thing is not uncommon with CDBG money to mix it with home or ESG money for these kinds of types of activities. And it's potential there are other uses for the CDBG money. Like you said, the sidewalks would be one. And also potentially if we were worried about the surveys we had mentioned that might need to be done, those could also be handled through CDBG. So this could be just done as part and parcel of the overall development project. So.
Thank you. Anybody else have any further questions? No? Anything else you'd like to share with us?
Thank you for your time. I appreciate you looking into this proposal, and just know that, whatever you decide, I know that the people at my church are going to say thank you for the service that you do.
And again, like I said, if you can email Stephen your PowerPoint,
Okay.
he'll share it with us and then we'll watch it
Okay.
on our own computers. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Please let the record show that Deborah Hogan has joined us. Good evening, Deborah. All right, I apologize. I don't have my contacts in. The Addiction Center of Broome County. Not a good look for the secretary not to have his contacts or his glasses. I bought brand new glasses and I sat on them the 3rd day. They don't fit my head anymore. Good evening, welcome. Introduce yourself and your hometown, please.
This is on. It's on. Okay.
If the green light is on, yes, just move it
Perfect.
forward to you. It is directional.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Pryor, and I'm a resident of the city of Binghamton. I work for the Addiction Center of Broome County, and we're respectfully requesting $39,618 in emergency solutions grant funding to hire one full-time credentialed New York State peer advocate to provide unsheltered persons within the city of Binghamton access to critical and necessary resources during daytime hours. ACBC has provided substance use disorder treatment in the Southern Tier for over 48 years as a New York State Office of Addiction Services and Supports medically supervised outpatient clinic. The goal of our Comfort Center, which is Binghamton's first overnight emergency shelter, is to provide staff to assist each overnight guest by assessing their needs, creating a personalized service plan, and ensuring everyone is connected with identified services. Currently, our staff are only able to assist guests staying at the center from 6 p.m. until 9 a.m. the following morning. This assistance comes in the form of emails for our clients, online applications, referrals for services, and then we provide verbal instruction on how to get a guest to engage with service providers in the community the following morning. This process takes anywhere from 4 to 9 days longer to get a client engaged with services because of the back and forth process of our staff working in the evening while the service providers work daytime hours. So there's that major disconnect. A significant barrier to our current process is more than 80% of our guests have some sort of mental health diagnosis, including anxiety, depression, PTSD, schizophrenia, bipolar, substance-induced psychosis, and nearly 10% of our guests have mobility issues, reducing their ability to navigate the community on their own safely to arrive at the service provider the following day. Our request for funding will eliminate this wasted time of back and forth. We'll be able to engage our clients significantly faster during daytime hours. The new staff will assist clients in navigating the application process for housing programs, providing them with a stable foundation to eventually move into their own apartments. The staff will connect participants to the Continuum of Care New York 511's coordinated entry system to facilitate access to primary and/or behavioral health care systems, help provide support benefits and income access, and refer clients to permanent shelters, providing housing search assistance as well. Additional benefits will include the ability to personally take someone in a company vehicle that day to their appointments, ensuring that they make the appointment. We'll be able to assist with obtaining identification from the Sheriff's Department or the New York State DMV. We'll ensure that connections are made with this new position. It will no longer be up to the guest to figure it out on their own through bus passes or walking the following day. The result of these benefits will be the reduction on the strain of our social service system, which they're currently experiencing, and ultimately reducing the number of homeless individuals in our city. With ongoing guidance and support, individuals will be empowered to make positive life choices to develop the skills required to maintain permanent housing. By funding this initiative, anticipated outcomes will include homeless individuals connected with critical services, individuals successfully transitioning from our overnight shelter to permanent housing, individuals gaining improved access to healthcare, mental health, and substance use treatments, and finally, the decrease in overall homelessness in our community and the city of Binghamton.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you for considering to fund our request to increase our capacity to serve those homeless in our community.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
I have one question. You had mentioned that it takes, I believe you said 4 to 9 days now because of like the back and forth. You mentioned that it would improve the time having somebody work daytime hours. What do you think that improvement would be? Like, could you get down to like 1 or 2 days? Would it be close to
Absolutely.
that range?
So working with somebody directly, having the ability to take them to the care provider the following day, it would be a matter of setting up that appointment, having the client at the shelter with us, and the following morning when they leave, we take them right to their appointment, whether it's DSS, substance abuse treatment, mental health and such. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that
Yes.
clarification.
I have a question
Yes.
or two. How many participants do you have that, do you feel would need that extra help?
We have 221 unique individuals served at our center over the last 7 months. We have 187 diagnosed with anxiety and depression, 177 with PTSD, 29 individuals with schizophrenia, 15 with bipolar, 6 with substance-induced psychosis. I would say we would be able to, well, I'll back up a quick second. We've connected 24 individuals with peer services in our community. We've helped 6 people obtain full-time employment, and we have 24 individuals which have obtained permanent housing on their own lease through the help of agencies in this town like Greater Opportunities and Rescue Mission and VOA. So we work very closely. I would say we would be able to, with a daytime person, work with 20 to 25 people a month and seek the type of assistance they're going to need to find that housing and the stabilization services.
How many employees do you have now?
I have 5 credentialed peers and 1 cleaner, and then myself at the center. And the reason we need an additional is we have staffing of 1 person to 25 adults. So it takes me 2 to 3 staff per shift to adequately staff. And so I just can't pull one of my current staff to work a daytime shift.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie?
Mr. Pryor, welcome. Thank you very much for coming before us today. Absolutely love the proposal, and I'll give an example. Person medically, today it took me 24 phone calls to try to solve one particular issue. I'm well-focused, educated, able to do that, know how to do that. I can only imagine the individuals coming before you not having those skills. So I really can see how that would be a benefit to this particular population. One concern that I have in this, if I read it correctly, the second paragraph was the needle exchange. Could you please explain that? Because I do have concerns.
When you mention needle exchange, I do not know what you're referring to. On what paragraph?
Read it incorrectly. It was under number 2. It was a full syringe exchange program. I apologize. I didn't use the correct phrasing.
That's okay. So the syringe exchange program is, we have 2 in the community, 1 through Southern Tier AIDS program and 1 through the Addiction Center of Broome County. That is a referral service that we provide for actively using clients. And the folks that this care manager would be assisting are those at the point ready to engage in finding housing services, getting them hooked up to social services. And of course, we would do referrals to other types of services like you're referring to, just for harm reduction purposes.
This is where I just need clarification. So if a person who comes in who's actively engaged in substance abuse, do they get a syringe exchange, dirty one given a clean one?
We do not do syringe exchange at the center. If somebody comes in that is actively using, then we would probably send them to the hospital for medical clearance. If they're so far beyond not being able to stand up, they're nodding out, things like that. So we take their safety and our staff seriously to that. They may not be allowed to stay that night until they've been medically cleared at a hospital level. We do not hand out needles at the center. If somebody wanted a needle, we would do a referral to the appropriate agencies in town.
Much for that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I apologize, it's Deborah. Yep. Any further questions? No? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Volunteers of America.
Hello.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome. Please give us your name and your hometown.
I'm Alicia Davis with Volunteers of America from Binghamton, New York.
All right, thank you.
And I'm here on behalf of Volunteers of America. We are requesting funding for emergency shelter for homeless and chronically homeless men at the 320 Shenango site. VOA offers emergency shelter 24/7 in the community. We do this by providing temporary crisis housing for homeless men and providing them with services to help them rapidly access more into permanent housing, develop life skills, obtain employment and income that will help them to remain stably housed. We serve more than 250 homeless individuals each year. We also have a case manager who works on site, offering on-site support services to assist individuals to obtain housing, access employment opportunities, and any other mainstream resources such as substance abuse or mental health. The funding would pay for a portion of that case manager to be able to help those people right there in the shelter with us. In addition, we are asking for funding for furnishings and supplies to operate our shelter, including bed bug resistant furniture, new dining room tables and chairs, new linens and dishware. Going through so many people each year, that stuff takes a wear and tear, and we do want to have all of our furniture be bed bug resistant so our clients are safe while they're with us. So we are asking for $24,800 in order to operate our emergency shelter this year.
Any questions for her? Now, I have a question. When you said bed bugs, you want to treat or get brand new furniture?
We are actually looking to replace the furniture. We have bed bug resistant furniture now,
Oh.
but some of it's been there for probably most of my life. So it's seen better days. So we'd like to replace that and make the shelter look a little nicer for our people coming in. So it doesn't feel so doom and gloom when you come
Right.
into a shelter.
Yep, give them hope. Any other questions? Deborah, anyone? No? All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yes. The YWCA. Now you have three. Would you like to bundle them all into one? Or? We're ahead of schedule. I don't know if we want to reach out to her or not. If you don't, we can. Okay. Very good.
I want to apologize to everyone for doing that to the Ys. I should have put all your presentations in the same block. I do apologize for that. Just slipped by me. I just enjoy punishing the subrecipients.
All right, well, good evening. Introduce yourselves, give us your hometown, and then the floor is yours.
So my name is Melanie Mendoza. I live in Endicott, New York,
Okay,
and I am the case manager at the new shelter for the YWCA, and it's called the Southside Manor.
okay.
Southside Manor.
And I'm Brian Daniels. I live in Windsor and I am the compliance officer and a bunch of other different jobs over at the YWCA. As Melanie was saying, I'll let her explain, but that's a new 63 bed, single adult female shelter right over where the old fraternity house is. Right next door to the mosque or the Muslim church right there on the corner of Livingston. Wait, what is it got to do with?
At the end of the
A
Exchange Street
Muslim
Bridge?
Awareness Center, right across
Yeah,
the
okay.
bridge. The fraternity house that used to be right there, right next to the Muslim Awareness Center, that's where it is.
It's a brick building.
Yeah, it has the pillars in the front. So we started that project back in August and got new beds in there, cleaned it all up. Melanie's been doing a great job working with Chow and the food bank, getting it prepared. Right now, there's 20 single ladies in there. Once Melanie hires some more staff, so we can make sure we're in ratio at all times. So she's looking to get 2 more staff in the building on all shifts. So that way, if someone does call out, the 3 covers the ratio. So it's gorgeous. If you ever get a chance, please come over. Have Melanie give you a tour of the place. We did have DSS and Jesse came in, did their tour. We've had other people come in and look at it. It's a phenomenal building. The ladies are not on top of each other. Like those rooms are set up 2 in a room, brand new beds, brand new mattresses, furniture, all that's in there. It's amazing. So any help that is given to that shelter through the ESG grant will be greatly appreciated. It'll be going towards staffing, food, those type of items. I will let Melanie speak. And then as far as Belinda's program over at the YW at 80 Holly Street, that's a 21 bed program that's always running at capacity over there. And then you have Ephraim's program, the outreach, where Ephraim's always out under the bridges, trying to get people to the resources they need. He does, like, he has hygiene bags he hands out. He was doing tents. I don't know if he has any tents yet. He ran out of tents. Okay. And so any funds that can be given to the outreach program will be greatly appreciated. And all the programs appreciated all the help that was given last year. I know Belinda was thrilled. Ephraim was thrilled. And it helps so many people in the community. And when you hear 63 beds, I know from doing all the step reports and all the other reports that emptying those hotels out is a main thing. It saves budget money here in the county and they can go right into the 63 beds. So Melanie will end up being full. Belinda will be full. That's 60, 84 people right there that can be served at all times. And a lot of the individuals coming from the shelters and the hotels, the DSS RSP program, which is the rental supplement program through DSS. I oversee that program. And as of today, they were at 63 households served, and counting children and spouses, that's 152 people they've served in the last year in that program alone. And they still were housing people today. Those girls are like machines. I can't keep up with them half the time. And then they also do the domestic violence program through the Journey program. Their goal was 40, for their grant was 40. If they could stretch the dollars that HUD gave them, maybe a few more people to make it work, they can do that. So right now they have 2 units that are leased, getting ready to be filled. That'll put them at 45, and that exceeded the goal of 40, and we're able to stretch it to help 5 more families in that program. So that's getting homeless individuals in domestic violence situation housed. So all the programs are great, and everything that you guys do here, helping all the programs, not just the Y, but the VOA and everyone else, is immensely thankful to you all in this program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Melanie so she can talk a little bit and brag about the new building over there, because I could talk about it all day.
Get it close to your mouth and it's
Well, do
directional.
you guys have questions? I mean, he said it all, so.
I'd like to just comment that I noticed how nice the building looks.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because I came over the bridge and I thought, and because it went through a real downturn when it was the fraternity
A lot of
house.
graffiti in that building.
Yeah, it was bad. And I have to date myself and tell you that my mother used to be a cook when that was the Good Shepherd home, and that housed women then. It
I
was-
saw an old news article, so I knew that part.
Yeah, so it was a very high-end, lovely place. It was a precursor to the Good Shepherd Fairview that exists now. So it's really interesting to see that it's come full circle back to house women, and it's cleaned up, and kudos to you. That's great.
Thank you. Question? So I've been setting up the shelter like since the summertime. And
Okay, it's all right. Go ahead. Sorry.
oh, okay. Since the summer, and we assembled like all the beds and the mattresses, yeah, I set all that up, and then just to take a step off the resident assistant, I fixed all the beds, so that way that's one step off of them. Because this is a new shelter, I'm giving everyone a clean slate, so everyone is welcome as long as they're homeless and they identify as a female. And right now, we just opened the first floor, so we have 2 staff on each shift, but I am definitely working on getting the 3rd person on shift so that we can open to full capacity.
Very good.
Yeah, because Jesse said, get the staff, I'll fill it like that, which would be a nightmare for them to do all those intakes at one time. But Melanie works with coordinated entry, making sure they're contacted, getting that referral to the appropriate program, whether it's through the DSS program or whether it's family enrichment or greater opportunities, wherever that appropriate referral can go, it will go. There's also Lord's telehealth in the building. Matt came over and brought that unit in. So now any of the residents need to set up an appointment with Lord's, they can reach out and get that appointment set up and get that service taken care of, whether it's their health needs or any other need. Melanie's staff will also make sure, and so does Belinda, make sure referrals are sent out to MHAST or ACBC, SPOA, any other agency that's out there that might be a good resource and a benefit to anyone that's in the homeless program. So I wish she was bragging more because when she talked
do have
about
a
putting the
question.
beds, putting the beds together, there's no elevator in the building. There used to be, because I looked at it and it's probably 800 years old. It would probably cost $250,000 to fix it. So when you're lugging mattresses, 63 mattresses up the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floor, plus the bed frames, putting them all together, and then all the linens and all the bedding, putting them all together, hanging curtains and everything, like Melanie even installed in the shower areas. Like when you go to the hotel, you the dial things you push for the body wash, and she had made sure they were all installed in the shower areas. She looked at everything that could possibly go in there, and the food bank came over. There on every single floor, there's a full kitchen on every single floor. Washer. The 3rd floor has washer dryers, refrigerator, dishwasher, sinks. The 2nd floor has the dishwasher, though it's stoves, all of that. And the 1st floor has the full kitchen. And then the basement has I think 3 or 4 washers and dryers down there, of each down there hooked up. So the girls can go down and get their wash done. So
it's lovely to hear that it's adequately set up. What I really wanted to hear was a little bit about the day-to-day routine. So yeah, like what is expected of them when they wake up. I mean, you don't have to go into, real depth, but just kind of give us 9 to 5, what they're doing, what your staff is doing, and the expectations. That would be lovely.
Okay, so every morning, I work closely with the Department of Social Services, so I send out shout outs of availability. Then they call me ahead of time to see how many beds I have available. They provide me with the name, they email me the rent guarantee. I put them on a roster. So that way, by the time they come to the building, the resident assistant knows who's coming in or out. To keep the building secure, though, when they ring the bell, we have a little camera. They say their name, we check the roster, and then we buzz them in. We welcome everyone, and we offer food and drinks first, because the intake process is a bit long. And we let them get settled. We go through the intake. We do provide them with linens and toiletries. And then we tell them that we expect everyone to treat them with respect, like both ways. If they have any issues with staff or anything like that, let me know. And then I will address it as things arise. They have to keep their bed area clean and neat every single day. And the bag is a 3-bag minimum. So we have to keep an eye out accumulation because they do, bring more stuff. And we have laundry on site so they can do their laundry. And then we make, I tell them to call 211 immediately. So that way it is a long wait for them sometimes. And that way they can get the referral. Once the referral comes in, I see all the referrals that come in for all the different programs. So that way I can reach out to the appropriate case manager, see what I need from my part to help them get settled and move along the way within the process. I do have someone right now that has secured an apartment. but they just need help with a security deposit. And I did connect with that case manager to start gathering the necessary documents to help this person. There's another individual with severe mental health that I had to mediate a few situations just so that people can understand that it's not her fault. It's just she's imbalanced right now and she just needs her medication. So it's a matter of like calling the pharmacy, saying where she's at now because she's at a different location, asking if they can deliver the meds to her so that way she can get back on track. And then also helping her set up a mental health appointment so that she can follow up with her provider. Yeah, what else? I don't know.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay.
I wondered, so how long what's the expectation of their length of stay?
So when I first started in emergency housing years ago, it used to be 30 days, but after the pandemic, they can stay as long as they find housing. So we just help them find housing. If it takes them a few months, that's fine. We just, they can stay until they find housing. As long as they comply with the rules, regulations and all that, it's fine.
Any other questions? Deborah?
Hi, welcome. Thank you for coming this evening. Two questions. One, because the facility does not have an elevator, are there any accessible units on your first floor?
No, but that's if we come together and I connect with Belinda in Holly Street, anyone that's needs handicap accessible beds can go to her because there's an elevator in that building. In the building that I'm in, there isn't an elevator and there are a few steps to go into the first floor.
Going to Holly, I didn't expect to go this far, but are the showers and other items within that unit accessible for a guest?
Handicap one? Oh, yes, there's been plenty of handicap accessible people there, and then yes, they've been able to shower and maintain their hygiene normally.
Next question, the gentleman spoke about the Journey program. I hadn't heard that in prior presentations. Just a quick description of that, please.
So the Journey program is designed to help survivors of domestic violence. So they get referred the same way. So RISE can refer to us, the New Hope Center can send out referrals, 211 can send out referrals. Once the case manager gets that referrals, they connect with that individual. They have a meeting and they gather all the necessary documents and then they move on from there. And then like he said, they already have secure units that they can place these individuals in so that they can feel safe, whether it's transitional or permanent.
So this shelter is for single women,
Yes.
no kids?
No, because for HUD standards, single individuals and family, they have to be separate. We can't have them in the same facility.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, in the past, that was at the Y, they had the singles and the families, and that was grandfathered in, and then HUD changed that, so then the families no longer could be there, and that had changed the whole letter of occupancy and all that went into place. So we had to make changes for that, which is a bummer because we want to help families. So now if I can find a building that I can make families, then me and Teresa will be pretty open to finding something, if it's possible. So, yeah, and back to the day-to-day, I've watched the girls, and I don't know if they're told, but they start cleaning. Like they'll get the mop bucket and start mopping and things like that, which is, they're not have to do that, but I'm glad they're taking ownership and pride in the building to keep it clean. And we do have a couple, like I was mentioning with Melanie, because they had to get clarification. One of the girls works at the college. And she's like, okay, I don't have a letter to say it. They want me to work extra hours. They said, I'll see Melanie over at City Hall, let her know. So don't stress. So she I catch the blue bus back here. I'm like, okay, not a problem. So Melanie's aware. So now she can do that without stressing about getting extra hours at the college working over there. So.
All right, any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
All right, thank you all. Have a good night, and any help is appreciated. Thanks.
Yes.
Mic is turned off.
Thank you. Family Enrichment Network. We are slightly ahead, as you can tell. Good evening. Introduce yourself and your program, and just pull the mic up to you. It is directional. So talk straight into it.
We need to state our address.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. April Ramsey, Director of Program Development at Family Enrichment Network. My residence is 183 Bevere Street, Binghamton, New York, 13904.
Pull the mic closer to you and you can probably,
Okay. Is that better?
perfect.
Awesome. Okay, so Family Enrichment Network is a multi-purpose nonprofit agency. We have been operating programming since 1978. We started locally in Binghamton, offering Head Start and early Head Start programming, and now we offer over 20 different programs. We're seeking funding from City of Binghamton for ESG, homeless prevention activities, in the amount of $60,425. With that funding, we'll provide homeless prevention services, specifically security deposits, rent arrears, and utility shutoffs. We've been providing the program for over 10 years. Trying to catch my breath, sorry. And in that time, we've assisted over 300 individuals. Post-pandemic has been very interesting. So there was some funding available for pandemic-related financial needs. So for those who were impacted by COVID and lost their jobs, we saw an influx. And so we served 110 families alone through the ESG funding. We served 52 families last year with the typical, your regular ESG funding. We're looking to serve a minimum of 30 individuals with this funding, primarily for rent arrears and utility shutoffs. I have a breakdown here. So last year, 66.67% of the funding was spent on security deposits. 33.33% was spent on rent arrears. Demographics are typically single working mothers that we're providing assistance to. Since September of this year, so from September 1st, 2023 through December 11th, 2023, we have provided $10,553 in financial assistance to 11 families, and we have 2 currently in progress. So we're asking funding so that we can continue to provide this, much needed service to the community. As far as I know, we're the only entity or the only agency that provides homeless prevention assistance to City of Binghamton residents.
Any questions?
I have a question of clarification. So, on your application cover sheet, it's mentioning 29 Fayette Street.
Yep.
And you're talking about paying rent arrears and other, issue things, but this is supportive housing. So how does that correlate, if you will?
So the 29 Fayette Street is where the housing case manager is located. So we have a facility, we have services that we offer out of that address, 29 Fayette Street. So that's where the program is housed. For supportive housing, I'm not sure that I understand the question.
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry.
it's just a address that's used even though people live there. is what you're saying.
So 29 Fayette Street, it's
Mm.
not residential.
That's their office.
That's the office.
Oh, okay. I got you. I'm following now.
I'm sorry,
There is supportive housing on
At-
the Liberty Street
Virgin
project.
Street.
Virgin.
Virgin Street.
The Virgin,
Oh,
sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That was my mistake.
No, that's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay.
It's behind St. Mary's, right?
Yeah, oh,
29.
Yes. Yep.
It's the
Off of
old St.
Porch Street.
Mary's School.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Deborah?
Just a quick question. When one of your statements is to increase participant knowledge, is there any outreach that's done to help direct people to you other than a referral, for example, through 211?
Yep, absolutely. So we attend various outreach activities throughout the community, obviously focused in Binghamton. So at the Lee Barta Community Center, for example, we have been there numerous times conducting outreach, just making sure that residents are aware of our services. There's various other activities throughout the community, at Rec Park, at some of the different churches, in which we're able to, conduct some outreach. And we were asked to be on a round of tiers with WBNG. So I think you may have suggested that last year. And so we plan to do that.
They'll be contacting you to table at National Night Out this year.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Any other questions? No, seeing none. Thank you. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. There we go. American Civic Association. All right.
All right. So hi, everybody. My name is Francesca Beauvais. I'm the grants manager at the American Civic Association. I'm a resident of the city of Binghamton, East Side. I'm here asking for $50,000 of CDGB funds to upgrade our bathrooms at the American Civic Association. This past year in 2023, we started a new program, the Refugee Resettlement Program. So we are bringing in refugees from primarily South America and the Middle East right now to resettle them and make them community members here in Binghamton. Adding this program this year was a huge change. We hired 9 new staff, which makes our staff now 19. So you can see we almost doubled this past year in 2023. And it's put a lot of stress on our building, considering that every single day we have over 100 ESL students, so that's English as a second language students, coming to our building. We now have 19 staff. We have 50 consistent and regular volunteers who are coming in frequently. And last year, we also served more than 250 unique immigration clients who were getting legal services. So we've been really, really busy in our building. Our building's 2 floors, so a main floor and a basement. Both have a men's and women's bathroom. And the upstairs bathroom, only one of the women's stalls is currently functioning, even though there's 2 stalls, but one of the toilets doesn't work. So around busy times of the day, we have a line that forms down the hallway. And I want to stress that the ACA is a welcome center. It's a welcome center for newcomers, immigrants, refugees, asylees, even those without status. But the building and the restrooms at this point could not be more unwelcoming if they tried. The pictures that I brought can't even really do justice to how bad it's gotten. So the ACA became an organization in 1939. We incorporated in 1952, and we've been operating in the same building since 1964. We still have the original tiles and ceilings and fixtures from the building all of that time ago. You can see that kind of gross yellow 60s tiles that are in the bathroom. There's a lot of leaking in the bathroom, the sinks and the toilets. It's led to an environment that's honestly just kind of perpetually wet and unsanitary and unhygienic. We get a lot of complaints from all levels of stakeholders, from our staff to our volunteers to the clients themselves. Sometimes our building is the first place that refugees will come directly from the airport. Like we'll pick them up from the airport, we'll bring them to the ACA, start some of their social services paperwork. And this is sometimes the first restroom that they see. And it's embarrassing, honestly, for our organization and for our staff too, to be so uncomfortable. So this $50,000 would allow us to upgrade all 4 restrooms. So men and women on the main floor and then men's and women's on the basement floor. With new sinks, new toilets, new flooring is especially important. The flooring has become really disgusting. I personally have avoided wearing open-toed shoes to work because the floor gets wet. One of the toilets in the upstairs women's one that we just avoid using now. We've had multiple plumbers come in to try and fix it, but it just needs to be replaced. And if it gets used too often, it floods and the floor doesn't have the right drainage. So then the floor just stays wet until we can mop it up. So a lot of grotesque details to share that this is really necessary. We take a lot of pride in our building. I don't think I have to tell you all about the horrific massacre that happened in this building in 2014. And we've made a conscious effort to make sure that we always maintain this building. Even if we outgrew the space that we're currently in, we would always keep this building as a home base. We own it. We don't have a mortgage, which is fantastic. But it's a sign of strength, I think, to Binghamton and to the newcomers we serve that we maintain this building and we try and take good care of it. And this is getting to the point of ridiculousness, and it's absolutely necessary.
Any questions?
Do you have, excuse me, do you have any other sources? I mean, it seems like $50,000 really would not be enough for the scope. Sounds like the scope of 4 bathrooms. Do you have any other sources that support you guys for your infrastructure?
None that are dedicated. We actually had a good year of finding grant funding, but it's all completely program oriented and we can't use it for capital improvements. So if we needed to supplement any further, it would probably come from fundraising initiatives.
Yeah. Do you do any is there any corporate sponsorship for anything that you do?
We have some corporate sponsors, but we typically use the funding for direct client assistance when we do get it. But this would be, I think, our first step to really taking on this initiative would be getting this funding committed first. Because I don't think we would be able to find a capital grant that could touch $50,000 based on my experience.
I mean, it seems in light of that building is like sacred ground.
Yeah.
It seems as though that there should be more of an awareness in the community to help rectify and to keep that building.
Yeah,
in best repair. And as you say, it's a welcome center.
It is. It is meant to be a welcome center. It's very much open for those who need it. Some people are in our building every day. Some of our clients, especially our English language learners, are there every single day. And to not have a dignified space for them to use is really disappointing.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Deborah?
Just a couple of questions. Have you worked with a design person to make sure that the new facilities will be accessible and to ADA compliance?
So the bathrooms on the main floor actually already meet ADA compliance. We actually got CDGB funding in 2019 for $15,000 to widen the door frames and to make handicap stalls on the main floor. So that's the floor that you can reach from the street level. We also had ramps installed to get up to the building so that the first floor is accessible. but while the door frames are wide enough and while the stall that does work is handicap accessible, they are still outdated and just unsanitary, but it is already ADA compliant, so we wouldn't have to worry about that.
Regards to what you are looking to do here, I think it's very important that that is pursued. An excellent example in this community, Steve, is St. Thomas and St. Patrick's Church. I recently had to use the facilities. It is sad that this here is not compliant. So if I just want to make sure that everyone is welcome and that there are no barriers in trying to use a facility.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
I wanted to piggyback off of Michelle's question and ask if you've looked for any local sources, like possibly the Housing Trust Fund, to supplement what you might need.
So this is actually the first application I've put together
Okay.
for the restrooms. You said the Housing
Trust Fund.
Housing Trust
Mhm.
Fund. I absolutely am making this a priority of mine. I'm the grant writer at the ACA, so my duty is always to try and find as much funding as I can for the projects we're working on. So I will look for other ways to supplement this.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Steven's going to talk about the next steps of the process while we wait to see if the YWCA street outreach folks do get here, because they were originally scheduled for 7:40 and it is only 7:20.
Yeah. So generally
Thank
everyone
you
gets
very
here about
much.
10 minutes early or even more. So hopefully, I'll just let you know, on some of the speakers tonight. Just want to remind you guys about the Trinity Mez, that's going to be a different sort of, they're basically asking for application adjustment there, and that we are working on a bigger project, but CDBG funds for the parking lot and then Chodo funds for the housing rehab would be useful in that situation. Just trying to go through some of these other ones. So for street outreach, we actually, with the COVID ESG money, we were able to, and I don't know if I told this agency this or this board this, but we were kind of coming down to the deadline of having to spend the money or losing it, which actually isn't true. I found out the other day. They just say that so that you try to spend the money. They don't take into account the fact that contracts and getting city council approval and all this other stuff takes a tremendous amount of time. So regardless, what we ended up doing with the last weeks of the funding, we bought a new four-wheel drive vehicle. I can't remember exactly what the vehicle was, but it's kind of a cross between like a minivan and a stretched car. It's I can't remember exactly what model it is. But it could seat a family of 6 with luggage. It was 4-wheel drive, and they were able to they wanted that to be able to get into like wilder areas where people are camping. So we purchased that with the COVID funding for them, and then with the remainder of the fund we had left, we gave that to Outreach Ministries, who unfortunately they missed, and I'll fill you guys in later. There was an issue that I did not know about with Outreach Ministries, why they did not show up. But we put about $20,000 or $22,000 worth of supplies for their kitchen at St. Patrick's Church. So that was the usage of ESG funding at the end there. So that's about street outreach. With Finn and the homelessness prevention, just so you know, they're the only agency doing homelessness prevention. Homelessness prevention is the program that if someone is about to be evicted, they call 211, and they need to be like 3 days from eviction. They call 211, 211 gets, or however they get in touch with family enrichment. And the whole point of that funding is to either pay rent arrears or help them move into a new home. It's called homelessness prevention because they're about to be homeless, and it's going to stop them from being homeless, either in their existing house, preferably, or apartment, or in a new unit. It's not the same as rapid rehousing, which Finn has done before, but is currently now mainly being provided in the area through a COC grant from HUD, where they take homeless people and put them into housing. So that's the difference. Homelessness prevention is you're currently housed, but you're about to lose it. Rapid rehousing, it's exactly the same, but you're literally homeless and need to go into a unit. Regarding the ACA, yes, they did get a bathroom grant a few years ago. I did call Francesca, is Francesca, right? Yeah. About that, just to clarify, because one thing we don't want to do with CDBG funds is to go twice into the same thing. We had that problem with Columbus Park. We're not going to do that again. So yeah, she said it was not the same as the previous grant for it. But I do want to point out they did not apply for the multilingual caseworker, which they have done for the last few years. I'm not sure if it was an oversight on their part or if they thought that they were going to do this instead. So just be aware of that. Regarding next steps, this is the last meeting for this year. I know some of you, your appointment is ending. The way the rules work is you can stay on until you're replaced as a de facto, unless you are told by the appointor to not come. That can happen. I would suggest if anyone wishes to remain in this position, I know the people are changing, to reach out to whoever now represents the city council as a whole, the new board members or whatever. See if they want you to stay on the position if you so choose. I like working with all of you. I don't want to see any of you go, but you know, you may have to work this out with them. They may not know yet, but definitely get hold of them because they need to make that appointment as soon as possible in the next year because we're gonna have to finish up the fiscal year 50 process here, including the consolidated plan before essentially March. So we don't have a lot of time to dilly-dally. I'm going to try to get to the first board meeting in January where their organizational meeting and remind them. But do please reach out if you want to continue. If you're not sure if your appointment is up, let me know. I'll double check. And I can see on my sheet. If you choose, if they don't say anything, you can kind of keep coming and technically you can get a portion of the CDAC stipend if you keep coming to the meetings. It's a weird thing, but it's what we've done because a lot of times we do that for a few months that they just don't appoint someone. And sometimes if you're just going to the meetings, like continuing on de facto, they'll be like, all right, they're doing it anyway, just go, I'll reappoint them or something like that. So, but definitely reach out to them. And I think our first meeting, I'll let you guys know, it is in January. We are not doing the very first meeting that we had scheduled because City Council took it for their meeting. So the first meeting will be the second or third week in January. It's on the calendar. And if you have any questions about the calendar, go to the City of Binghamton calendar. You can see all of our meetings for the year scheduled. So that first meeting was going to be the first meeting was like the first week and was going to be the organizational meeting where you vote for members or vote for secretary, chair, vice chair. So instead we'll do this kind of at the beginning of the next meeting to elect members, and then we'll go straight into, hopefully I'll be able to get the city departments going because that's when we'll have stuff like code enforcement, the police come and make presentations of why they want grant funding again. I'll have to reach out to them, get them ready to go on that. I'll make a note of that. Does anybody have any questions or concern? Okay. Hey, Michelle.
Okay, two things.
Mhm.
Could you just quick clarify that vehicle that was purchased and who does it go to?
Oh, the one for the Y. Okay, so we bought the Y. We had an amount of ESG COVID money that was about to be 86th. We had to spend it by the end of September.
Okay.
At least that's what HUD initially said. And then when I talked to them the other day and I said, when are you guys taking away the rest of the grant funding? They're like, no, spend it if you can. I said, you told us the opposite. So regardless, we were down to the wire. We had about a month and a half left to spend the funding. So we just kind of scrambled. We were able to quickly get a vehicle through the state contract. And we basically turned it over to the Y. So they are using it for their street outreach vehicle. It's one of the few uses of HUD funding in which you can purchase a vehicle. ESG is you can purchase vehicles with that. We wanted to get Outreach Ministries a vehicle too, but there was not enough money. Unfortunately, they wanted a van of some kind to carry supplies for the Showers of Hope thing and also for their kitchens. So, but yeah, I cannot remember the exact type of vehicle. It was either brand new or lightly used, like less than 100 miles. A Ford something. I don't want to say Ford Explorer. I can't remember exactly what it was. If Ephraim shows up in the next few minutes, I'm not sure if he is, he could tell you what it is, but it's for their outreach stuff. They basically take it out and they use that to get down into areas that a normal vehicle couldn't, or they can drive it around town too. They meet people, families. Hey, are you homeless? We can take you to some sports services. We can take you and your kids and whatever belongings you have to somewhere else, to one of the shelters, stuff like that. So that's the whole point of the outreach vehicle. They can carry supplies in it, like food, toiletries, and stuff like that.
Okay. And then totally different, but
yeah.
So about the reappointment, I'm in kind of a unique situation because I was appointed by Joe Burns' 5th district. Now he did not run again. So technically I'm in the 6th district, but it was a draw. There is no elected council person.
Oh, you're the Rebecca Rathmel and whoever else
And
was running. I can't
Phil
remember the other.
Strawn. Yeah.
So
But Maryland is in.
no, I believe it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be voted.
It
No,
was a tie.
it was a tie after the recount.
Complete tie.
So I think the current situation is the board is going, the city council is probably gonna vote, but I know that's even going to some legal ramifications. What that means for you is if you wish to keep coming to the CDAC meetings until the X person, whoever is finally determined, tells you not to reappoint you or appoint someone else, you can, if you so wish.
Okay.
Um,
Because Maryland, now you're fit.
Well, just so you know, city that you do not have to, by the rules, belong to the district that you're being appointed for.
Right.
It's just the way the rules are. You don't even
They
technically have to be.
redistricted. Well, they redistricted, so.
And we may be
So.
No, maybe you are 6.
if I just take my other hat for just a moment, yesterday, the New York State highest appeals court ruled that our congressional maps are unconstitutional and must be redrawn ahead of petitioning in February. And 2 weeks ago, the same court ruled unanimously that the Broome County legislative maps are illegal as well, and they must all be redrawn, that they were gerrymandered. So there's going to be some serious redistricting within Broome County, and city council lines have to follow.
I don't know.
They can't split EDs that split legislative districts. So you can't mess with the entity above you. So if this legislative districts change, I believe the city council districts may have to change.
So, as I
Just
said, the
a-
appointee is whatever you're appointed for, whatever that ends up being, even if you don't live there, you technically are de facto and can keep coming and technically can make a portion of the stipend until you are told to officially not come by whoever ends up being the person who would be able to tell you not to come, are reappointed by that person or are replaced by some other appointee.
In our last meeting, 3 of them
Okay.
were here and watched some of the proceedings of our meeting. So they're taking an interest, they've reached out. So I would recommend, if you want to stay in your seat, reach out to your new representative, or in your case, please stand by.
Deb, did you have a question about the process?
Oh, no, I was just gonna add the assembly has to be redrawn as well
Yeah.
from previous ruling.
So we're in chaos, but you guys are still here. You are still the CDAC members. You represent those districts of whatever district is the number before your district appointee. So that you still technically represent them, even if you're not sure what. So, as I said, until you are told, don't come, you're reappointed or you're replaced. That's pretty much it. It's kind of nice that way. But it's that way we don't have to, we can keep going. That way we don't end up with like no CDAC members starting the next year for like months, which would be insane and chaos. So. Okay. Any other questions about the process? Because the next part is we're done with agencies. Oh, no, I'll talk to you guys by email because some agencies didn't make presentations. Outreach Ministries is the one. My understanding is that that could not be avoided. But if we're going to extend it to one, we may wish to extend it to some others to come and represent if they have a presentation for their things.
I thought you said they were here today.
They were, and then they left.
Wow.
They left before I could catch them and say, hey, we might be able to squeeze you in at the end. So
Can I
We had
just,
room too.
can I just tell you, one thing sad is, very sad, that Barb Donnelly passed away.
that's the specific reason why we're Outreach Ministries. That's why I would say Outreach
Yeah.
Ministries would be a good one to,
At St. Pat's, right?
that's, yep. Yeah. Just like recently, like a day or so ago. I just found out tonight before the meeting.
It's being handled by McCormick's. She passed last evening.
No. So I do not know. I have a contact for Outreach Ministries, but my secondary contact for Outreach Ministries was her husband, and I'm sure he's not going to be in a position to want to deal with this for any period of time. So we'll have to see. There's other issues with Outreach Ministries that I have to resolve, our caper and stuff like that. So, but it is getting late. If there's no other questions, I'll turn it back to the acting chair / secretary. It's 7:34. It's up to you.
Do we give them the extra couple minutes because we said? Okay. Does anyone have anything they want to discuss in the interim? Okay. The
We're
floor is
having
yours.
Santa's workshop on on December 16th, this Saturday. We're accepting donations for the children to give to their parents. Tomorrow and Friday, even though I'm trying to be a Grinch and say I'm off, I'm not really. So if anybody wants to donate to the LUMA Community Center Santa workshop, please contact me. Thank you.
What are you looking for?
Gifts for the kids to
Money
give
or
their,
gifts?
no, not money,
Well-
gifts. I mean, well,
If you want, I didn't know if you wanted money to buy gifts.
I mean, since I'm here and it's on my brain, it's the only thing that's on my brain for the past month. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be we're gonna have a big turnout, and I just don't want any of the kids to not be able to select a gift for their parents. So I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Unused candles, new bathrobes and slippers for mom or dad, novels. Do the kids know what the parents want to read? Cookbooks, self-help books, blankets, throws, socks, fuzzy socks. You know, what would you want for Christmas from your kid? Yeah, stuff, scarf, hats and scarves. We want them to be new.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Taking a nap.
Oh, I was
No,
gonna say, do you want me
no.
to take you shopping?
Yeah, I'll never say no to
Okay, I'll
that.
message you on Facebook.
Okay.
Just so you know, everyone knows, I'm going to add this to the minutes as community events. So if anyone else has community events.
Yeah.
Can I
Deborah?
just say kudos because I saw the event advertised on television. So great job on your outreach.
Very good. Anybody else?
4 more minutes worth of events. Anyone wishes to talk about?
Thanksgiving recaps?
I guess I could say, Roberson, I believe, has a thing now where, they do the Christmas trees, the Home for the Holidays. I know of a particular pipe band that has a Christmas tree there. I'm just saying. And they also have their Christmas trees. I think they have their Christmas trees around the world, but I know it's sometimes expensive to get in there. But my understanding is there is a no questions asked. This is not absolutely guaranteed. This is what I've heard, that you can basically come in and get in for free if you ask, or there's a little thing you pull off the wall and they let you get in. So that is what I have heard. I cannot guarantee. I've not done it myself, but that is something I have heard, which is kind of a great way for people with maybe less means, especially around Christmas, to see those. And Roberson is a great museum. I mean, if you've never been to Roberson, go to Roberson. It's a really great museum just to talk about stuff in the city, but also other stuff, natural science and local events and stuff like that. So, but yeah, they're doing that. So that's a local event.
I could just keep saying anybody else for 3 minutes.
I'm just trying to think of other things I can say that are CDBG relevant. I'm really hoping we can work out the chodos that we want to work out with the church for those 2 projects. We're planning on dumping a ton of chodo money in it, probably upwards of 600,000+, simply because we have a lot of chodo money we've got to use anyway. It is difficult to get agencies to accept chodo money because there's so many rules and regulations and requirements for it. I've heard recently an agency say, no, basically, I don't want this. It's too much. It's too much for what we've got to do for it, even though it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I have talked to our HUD rep about that, Rashika, and she says, yes, I understand, but that's them's the regulation. So it's an unfortunate thing. And as much as I kind of see myself as an expediter of things, I try to figure ways of minimizing the administrative burden on agencies. And that only goes so far. I can only make it so simple for agencies. At some point, there are just things that agencies will have to do, and mortgages or agreements they're going to have to sign, or whatever they're going to have to do. And that's HUD regulations. I mean, the city sometimes will step up, but very rarely do we step up and impose a stricter regulation requirement. Oh, I guess. Okay, we got time. All right, how's that? So one thing we're doing, and I think I had mentioned this to 1 or 2 of you, we are changing our home rehab program, or we're in the process of changing our home rehab program. Currently, it is for single families only for rehab using CDBG and home money. We are looking at, first off, we've upped our $5,000 closing cost assistance to $10,000 to help people buy new homes. But also we're going to change our rehab program, or we're in the works for, we're going to start extending it to multifamily, 2, 3, 4 unit, or even more. And that is all about helping landlords, including owner occupied landlords, where our ideal situation, I call it, is the little old lady who owns a 2-family home. She lives in one and she rents out the other one to supplement her Social Security. That's kind of our ideal setting. But we're going to change that to allow, at some point, we're still working on it, to figure out how we're going to use funds to help renovate apartments. Now it's a whole different slew of rules and regulations that are involved there. And this actually may be someplace we get stricter than the HUD requirements. But that's on the works for what we're doing. And also, we are also changing our rehab program. And I think we've actually kicked it in already, if you didn't know. And anyone can spread the news on this. We're doing a thing where we're doing appliance replacement. So we're basically replacing worn out, old, outdated appliances with Energy Star, mimicking our existing home rehab project. And that can be done actually very, very quickly. So that's the part of that is, replace old furnaces, old stoves, pretty much any appliance, replace it with new Energy Star. And the whole goal there is to drop people's energy bills, their NYSEG bills, and hopefully that helps people out. And it will just essentially mimic our existing home and CDBG rehab program.
Are folks required to have the energy assessment?
No, we're not requiring an energy assessment. It's straight up, if you have an old appliance or old appliances, we will simply take away the old ones and replace them. What's up, Deb?
And then,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Oh,
And then
sorry.
my other question was going to be about Trinity AME Zion. So are they rehabbing that into housing, one of these other parcels?
Well, basically the church has attached to the church, and it's on church property, are 2 houses. One's a 2-unit, one's a 1-unit. I've been through both. 1 unit is somewhat nicer than my house. It's just not been lived in for a few years, and someone came in and stole the copper out of the basement. The other one needs a little bit more TLC. Both are older buildings, and it's Binghamton older, essentially pre-1940, probably has asbestos and lead in it. So we have to be careful. But they need some TLC, but the church wants to retain hold of the properties. But they are looking into, and I think they see it as part of their ministry outreach is to rehab those homes and allow low-income people to live there, which is exactly what a Chodo is. It's what the Chodos would do. The church probably will not be the Chodo, and that's the issue, is we're trying to figure out the rules and requirements for a non-property owning Chodo to renovate a property. So a Chodo as developer only, and I've got to reach out to Rashika. I have reached out to Rashika, but I need to give her some more clarification on exactly the rules and requirements. If anyone ever wants to go insane at HUD regulations, sit in on a Chodo rehab meeting, going over what's required, and your jaw will drop at amount of paperwork we have to do for those projects. It's insane. So, but it's hopefully we can get it working. I think we can. The only problem is that the property is in the preliminary floodplain, which means we have to, both of them have to have some probably elevated utilities and or some little drop gap flood barriers on the front and back doors. But we think we can work around that. So, and it is past 7:40, so I can shut up.
YWC Street Outreach? No, seeing none. All right. Let's do attendance one final time before we adjourn. Let's start up with Deborah.
Thanks, Ashton. Deborah Hogan, mayoral appointee.
Ebony Hato, District 4.
Brandy Brown, District 3.
Justin McGregor, District 7, Secretary and Acting Chair.
Michelle O'Loughlin, District 5.
Carolyn Austin, District 6.
Jacob Kumpon, Council at Large.
All right, thank you. I take a motion to adjourn. Anyone?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we stand adjourned. Thank you.